I want to get to another story, which actually gets us back to Minnesomalia, or Somalisoda, some people have called it. We're going to dive right in because we got some good news out of Minnesomalia. So let's dive right into that. Before we do that, please smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Let me know that you're here in the comments. I really appreciate everybody rolling up. Please share Courageous Media with everybody that you know. So let's check out what's going on in Minnesomalia today, because I think we got some great news coming out from ICE and from the feds.
ICE is ramping up operations in the Twin Cities as well, and Garrett Tenney watching that for us. And where are we now? Garrett, good morning to you.
Yeah, Bill, good morning to you. Federal agents are now on the ground in the Twin Cities, focusing on the Somali community and anyone who is in the country illegally. We know they have been stopping some folks out on the street asking for their IDs, also going door to door looking for specific individuals. All of this, as you mentioned, comes after those massive fraud schemes in Minnesota that involved mostly folks from the Somali community, fraudulently charging the state more than $1 billion for social services that were never performed. When Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who's become the face of the Somali community in Minnesota, was asked why the fraud got so out of control, she said this.
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
President Trump and Republicans are railing against Governor Tim Walz, and the House Oversight Committee, which has launched its own investigation into the fraud, is now requesting documents, records, and communications from both Walz and State Attorney General.
So welcome back to Courageous Media. So the good news is we've got ICE going to Minneapolis in force. I loved what he said. They are going door to door in the Somali community. Exactly. Where there is crime, where there is fraud, where there are illegal aliens, show up. Let's go door to door. Hello, are you here legally? No? Boom, on the truck. I love it. I think they should do that in mass in Minneapolis and Minnesota. This is absolutely crazy. Now, I wanted to dive into a couple videos because we've got Tom Homan, who was on the Ingram show, who was talking about this very fact. But before we get into that, let's look at one video because I thought that I really liked what this person had to say because they were talking specifically about the hub, the Somali hub that is in Minnesota. Check this out.
Minneapolis, Minnesota is fastly becoming the biggest hub for Somali migrants, all thanks to people like Ilhan Jihad radicalist Omar, because she has a seat in Senate, in Congress. So she is further helping her Somalian community, which has grown in the upwards of 100,000 Somalians in the state of Minnesota. But Minneapolis being the biggest hub of Somali migrants in that community. And as a result, these people are committing a lot of fraudulent activities.
So even people from Minnesota were, before all this happened, realizing that this whole thing was a scam. That somehow 100,000 Somalis showing up in Minnesota it's in and of itself a statistical anomaly. And people were looking at this prior, but now we've got, now we know that there's been $1 billion+ in fraud of federally backed state funds. So state Medicare funds, state PPP funds, and others through the feeding app that they did, which then led to the autism services app, which led to housing app, all this stuff that led to almost $1 billion in fraud, let alone the $1.7 billion of private money, which most of that was probably either federal aid or skimmed off the top of a lot of these programs that was sent back by Somalis in America to people in their home country. But when talking about ICE going after people in Minneapolis, Tom Homan was on the Ingram show, and I loved what he had to say. Check this out.
Secretary Nolan just talked about just elevated their priority status. So yes, there's going to be an increase of activity up there, and we're going to hold people accountable. We're going to enforce the law without apology. So again, I've told every sanctuary city mayor, governor, You can stand aside and let us make your community safe and remove criminals and even legal aliens that commit crimes that make themselves, if they're a resident alien, they commit a certain offense, a felony offense, even they're deportable and they'll be deported. We're going to enforce the laws of this country without apology, including in the Twin Cities.
When do you expect ICE to make its presence really known in the Twin Cities, Tom? Approximately.
I can't forecast that. I don't want to give up operations, but I can tell you that, Secretary Noem's all over it. I know ICE and CBP and other federal agencies, the FBI, DEA, ATF. President Trump's been a genius on this. He brings all the government to these operations. So if we arrest an alien with drugs, you got the DEA right there, can prosecute the case before we deport him. If you get him with a gun, you got ATF right there to prosecute the case before we deport him. But I can tell you, focus is there. It's coming. But I don't want to give a lot. I can't tell you how many people are on the ground now, how many people are going to be on the ground. I'll leave that to the Secretary of Homeland Security. But focus is on those Twin Cities more because of the criminal activities been uncovered by DOJ and DHS.
Absolutely. Go after these people. The Somalis started coming into this country under Bush and Obama. You are 100% correct. That's because Bush is very much a deep state actor. Him and Obama followed a long line of deep state actor presidents. They were installed essentially, whether they were Republican or Democrat. They were beholden to a different set of puppet masters. They were not answering to the American people. They were not answering to the American voter, to American citizens. No. They were answering to the globalist cabal of corruptocrats, the same group of corruptocrats that are actively destroying Europe right now. America is quite a ways behind what they're doing in Europe, but that's strictly because we were able to elect for 2 terms separated by Biden, President Donald J. Trump, who built the wall and is still building the wall, who is actively deporting, who has stopped illegal immigration altogether at the border. We've got 0 crossings. They're actively rounding people up who overstay their visas. They have essentially delayed what they've done to the United Kingdom. They want to do to America. We've delayed that probably by a good 15 years by what President Trump has done. And we need to keep the pressure on. We need to deport 20 to 30 million people. Call it deportation, call it remigration. I don't care what you call it. There's a good 30 million people minimum that need to be out of this country before Trump leaves office. And then we need to get another Republican in there, a J.D. Vance or a Marco Rubio or someone similar who will continue the effort. Get these people out of our country. So yes, they were placed there. They were installed there. Biden did this on steroids. Remember, he had flights. He had airplanes, an entire fleet of airplanes that were flying in 300,000 people a year from Venezuela, Nicaragua, Honduras, Cuba, Afghanistan, Pakistan, other places, flying them directly into the country, bypassing all vetting, all ICE, all everything. They didn't cross a border. They were brought in essentially under these diplomatic flights and simply released into the community. When they created the chaos in Afghanistan with I'll put air quotes because it wasn't a botched pullout. It was botched when looked at from the point of view of American citizens or actual military members. No, what they did in Afghanistan was a plan. That wasn't a mistake. That wasn't we screwed up. That was the plan. The plan was to turn over $80 billion of military equipment to our enemies, the Taliban, create chaos in the country, and create the front, the veil to bring in tens of thousands of Afghans all at once, Muslim terrorist wannabes, into America because they want to reshape America like they have reshaped France, like they are reshaping Britain. But Donald Trump stood in their way. So knowing that they had at least 4 years, now they wanted obviously Kamala Harris. They tried to rig the 24 election, but Elon Musk stopped them. Check out our video from a couple days ago. They wanted to keep doing this, but while they were making hay while the sun shined. So let's give $80 billion worth of military equipment to our terrorist enemies. Oh, and let's import tens of thousands of them into the country under the veil of they help the American military. This was all the plan. The plan is to destroy the United States of America. That was the plan. Through illegal immigration, both of people south of the border, but also of military-aged men from China and the Middle East, and to bring in as many Muslims as they possibly could who do not assimilate, who balkanized into communities, whose religion aspect, the Sharia law aspect of their religion directly opposes the Constitution of the United States, which talks about freedom of religion. But under Sharia law, if you leave the Muslim religion, they can kill you. That's in Sharia law. So you've got serious problems with that whole community. I feel it was divine hand of God that Trump didn't get elected in 2020. I believe so. It gave him and his team some time to look and go, wait a minute, what the hell? Where were we waylaid by the deep state, and what can we do to plan something better? Now, that was the good aspect of it. The bad aspect of it is they still have huge numbers of deep state operatives in the cabinet, in his administration. Whether or not at cabinet level, I don't know, but certainly in the administration. The signal gate releases, all of the, we're still getting phantom leaks from throughout. We've still got the FBI actively opposing, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino in terms of what they want to do to remake the FBI. We've got still serious issues. So I'm loving the fact that Homan and ICE are going after the Somalis and the illegals in Minnesota. We need to do that in every single city. There, we need to hire another 100,000 ICE agents. We need to get these people out of the country. We need to deport 10,000 a day. If we deport 10,000 a day, that's about 3.6 million a year. That at the end of the Trump administration will at least get us to about 12 to 15 million people. Then you add because if we do this in mass and we do it right, you'll get a whole bunch of self-deportations going on as well. But let me know what you think in the comments. I really appreciate everybody rolling up. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you could, share Courageous Media with everybody that you know. And if you'd like to support the channel, please join us as a member on YouTube. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Remember, God is good and he is sovereign. Until I catch you next time, have a great day.